All right, so now we're going to do our beginner warm-up and interval training considerations. So there's a lot of the stuff that we did over there that you can still do. We're definitely going to start with jumping jacks. But one other thing that I recommend is if you are a beginner and have extra body fat to lose, start with a little extra body weight or just regular walk, and then also, do some of the jumping jacks. Then we'll go down on the ground and just do some basic hip extensions. So working on the glutes here, activating those muscles. If you have a stability ball, do stability ball leg curls, and then we're going to flip over and do mountain climbers. So just this exercise, we'll do this instead of our prisoner forward lunge. So we'll do the mountain climbers and then go into a hip flexor stretch, just really short, 5 seconds, and switch over because we're stretching this area here, which we're going to use quite heavily in our intervals, whether we do walking or a little bit of jogging. So just do that stretch there. And then I'd like you to do whatever level of body weight squat you can do. So if you can just do this, just work on improving your range of motion all the time. So we've done those squats, and then I'd like you to do the Spider-Man climb. So just, do what you can. You get a little stretch at the top there, abs braced, hips low. And then if you can't do the standing leg swings, which are great, and I highly recommend you do them, you can do them just lying on the ground as well. Just getting a little stretch. So you can do all the stretches, all those leg swings for one side and then for the other. And then maybe just a little run in place, whatever you can for your level, and then rest 30 seconds and repeat that. Now, after you've done that and you're comfortable and ready to do your interval training, we're going to stick to very similar recommendations that we use for advanced. And we'll talk about intensity in a bit, but I want to show you two ways of doing interval training that are a little more beginner. And the first one is just, instead of sprinting hills, we're just going to walk them. And I want you to walk as fast as you can, going up with a nice hill. It's going to be a little less impactful on your joints rather than walking on concrete or on the sidewalk or on the road. So, just walk as fast as you can, pump those arms. And really, probably didn't need a video to see that, but what you're doing is hitting interval training at an intensity that is right for you. And I'll talk about intensity again in just a second, but the other thing I wanted to mention was the 8-second interval, 12-second recovery. Now this is what was used in one of the most famous interval training research studies that showed interval training worked better than cardio, and that was from Australian researchers, specifically a guy named Steve Boucher. And now people always say, oh, beginners can't do interval training, it's too intense. But what he actually said was, everybody can do the 8 seconds on, 12 seconds off interval method, because you just go hard for a little bit, then you get a recovery, and you don't build up that high level of lactic acid that you do if you went and did intervals for 30 to 45 seconds. So there's going to be less buildup in that. And so what I recommend you would do if you're a beginner moving into intermediate level, or if you have a little extra body fat, this is what you're going to do. You're just going to run for 8 seconds, and then your timer will go off and you'll walk for 12, and then run 8 seconds and walk for 12. And again, it's because there's just so much starting and stopping there, you're going to have less of that continuous buildup of exercise and intensity that really will increase the lactic acid and make you fatigue faster and want to quit. So there'll be less impact of fatigue on that type of training. So even if you just walk really fast for 8 seconds and then 12 seconds, you should have that Gym Boss interval training timer that will beep every 12 seconds of recovery, and then it will beep after 8 seconds of exercise. And that's one way for beginners to get into interval training without the traditional, oh, you got to run as hard as you can for 30 seconds to a minute, and then you're going to feel like puking. You won't with this method of interval training. It's a really great way for you to get started. So those are the beginner implications there for our interval training, just to show you that everyone can do interval training. And now, to be even more specific with recommendations, I'm going to get into a little bit of a lecture here on intensity.